What is going on, everybody? Tanner Pfeiffer here with Pfeiffer Football, host of the NFL Rumors podcast. We got a special guest today. He's a 2024 NFL draft prospect, Lamar Morgan out of UTM. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you coming on today.
I appreciate you having me, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I forgot I would like to throw on my hat. Podcast brought to you by Expand Sports. So make sure you guys check out Expand Sports. I'll have all their stuff and information in the description of the podcast, and you'll see it on YouTube as well. So, welcome to the NFL Rumors podcast. This is episode 6 so far on this season. We got a lot of crazy stuff going around the NFL. It's playoff time, or we're getting close to playoffs time, and I still think there's how many teams eligible to make the playoffs still? It's like I saw something from Adam Schefter about it.
Yeah, it's a lot still.
Yeah, there's still a lot of teams like mathematically able to make the playoffs. We'll hop into a second, man, and get your just feel on the NFL and everything. But first, we want to open the floor and just let you talk and tell us who you are and about your experience through college so far and your what you're excited about for the future NFL.
Yeah, man. Like you said, my name Lamar Morgan. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. Grew up there, but I did move to a little town called Decatur, Mississippi for a while. I lived here for about 4 or 5 years, and then went back to Michigan. Came back, living a little bit of back and forth. But I graduated here in Decatur from Newton County High School. You can see it behind me. I played tight end coming out of high school. My freshman year, I went to junior college. My freshman year, I played tight end at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College in Perkinston, Mississippi. I played there for one season. I played tight end, and then I transferred to East Central Community College, and that's where I started playing offensive line at with Coach Dennis Alexander. He kind of talked me into playing O line, big athletic guy. So I transferred there, and I was actually during the COVID season, and that's when I started playing there. And then I got
Yeah.
recruited by Coach Kevin Bannon up at UT Martin. Him and Coach Matt Jones, they got me up there, and they kind of turned me into the player I am today. I went up there playing right tackle. I played right tackle most of my career. Yeah, so I started playing there, and I was a 3 year starter there. Made all conference all 3 years there. Had a lot of success. We won the conference every year. I was with them, so hopefully they can keep that rolling too. But yeah,
Absolutely. That's awesome.
I've loved my transition into playing offensive line for sure though.
So standing right now, I didn't know you played tight end coming out of high school. So
Yeah.
tell me right now, like, did did you have to, or how big were you? How tall were you when you were playing tight end, and then how did you transition physically to offensive line? Like, how did that work?
Yeah, so going into my freshman year, I was about 6'5", two I say 250, 260
Yeah.
in that range, and then I got a little heavy throughout the season, so I probably got up to about 270. So I probably was at 265, 270 when I transferred to East Central, and then I talked to him, and I talked to head coach, Coach Karcher, Coach Ken Karcher, and he was like, "I seen you coming out of high school, so I know you can play tight end, but I also think you can play O line. So we might try you out this spring at both." And I was like, "All right, that's fine. I just want to play." And then COVID hit that spring, and so we didn't go. And then I was just talking to Coach Dennis, and he was just like, he was like, "Hey, I really think you can play tackle." And then what happened was I watched the NFL draft that year, and I think it was 7 offensive tackles drafted in the first round. And I was like, maybe this the way to go. And so I came. I was at home. I just started lifting and eating. My mom was home too, so she was just cooking for me. So I got up to about 6'5" from probably what would I say? COVID hit probably around March. I probably figured out I wanted to play O line around June, July. From June, July until from the beginning of June until about the beginning of September, I went from 270 to 320, just eating and
Oh
lifting.
my gosh.
Yeah,
The weight,
Wow.
Good way. I've got a quick question, my man. What would it mean to play for the Detroit Lions if they picked you?
I mean, that's hometown team. So I'm really a Steelers fan because my uncle played with Jerome Bettis in high school. So uh, I'm really a Steelers fan, but playing for the hometown team that would mean a lot to me. I'd be right there with the family for sure.
You know, Steelers too. I could imagine that would be like if you probably had a couple of teams to pick, I would imagine it would probably what be the Steelers and Lions would just be your favorite if you could play for one
Yeah,
of those.
those are definitely those two are definitely mean a little bit more to me because the Steelers been my favorite team since I've been watching football, and then the Lions that's just the hometown team. So I always got to root for them.
Definitely. Who would you say that like when you look at your game the most? Who would you say not that you really comparing yourself to the person, but who do you kind of mold your game after
You know,
on the offensive line?
so that's crazy that you asked that because I didn't really watch NFL offensive lineman when I first started playing it because I didn't know who to watch. But I had the opportunity to with my coach Matt Jones, he got me the opportunity to go to O-line masterminds these past 2 years, and these past 2 years I really started watching a lot of Teron Armstead and I watch a lot of Taylor Lewan also.
Gotcha,
Those
gotcha.
two guys, yeah, definitely.
Big
What would you
Lawan.
say would be your biggest strength when you're talking about the offensive line and the things that you do the best? We know everybody overall, everybody's got you know good in good in their game, but like what just like jumps off the page that you think is above else in your game right now?
I mean, physically, I think it's just my athleticism from being basketball and tight end my whole life. So I think my feet, I got good athleticism with my feet and length. God blessed me with that length, and then mentally, I put a lot of time and effort into it also. And I've only been playing O line for a short amount of time, so I think I got that much more of a ceiling than people that have been playing it their whole life.
Gotcha, gotcha. Awesome. I love the answers. I really do. I love the answers. I think that's like you said. Not playing it as long. You got a huge ceiling to go up.
Yeah,
Learning from a lot of different gurus, getting into the NFL, learning from a lot of guys, and even getting a chance at the combines and things of that nature, like
right,
learning from offensive line coaches. I think that can definitely go a long way as well. But you
definitely.
know, I've got myself to see some stuff on this young man, and I think the sky's the limit for him. I think I've seen some really good stuff, and you know, he's jumping off on the film on the players that he's playing against. So I mean, that's always a great thing when you're looking at the film and this guy jumps off the board on you.
Right.
And Lamar, you will be participating in one of the, I guess not the Reese's Senior Bowl, but it's like another one, right?
Yeah, I'll be participating in the college gridiron showcase out in Fort Worth,
Yeah,
Texas.
that's I mean that's a big deal. There's a lot of scouts that go there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
That's
Definitely.
awesome. And I think talk to your agent about that, and he's saying he's excited for you there because I mean that's where you really get to showcase that. And I think there's a lot of guys in the NFL who
right.
participated in those in the past and have really succeeded. So that's going to be a big deal. I was looking here at your schedule. You guys played against some notable teams here.
Yeah,
Georgia was one of them.
yeah,
How do you feel your performance was there? I didn't look at like the scores or anything. I just see
yeah.
it on your schedule.
I think that was a good test for me because I didn't give up a sack. I think I gave up QB pressure and a TFL that game, but all around I think I had a really good game. I was physical. My head coach and my line coach told me I came out with physical mentality that game. So, and I think that always gives you an edge no matter what level you playing at. If you come out telling yourself to be physical, then
Yeah.
you'll have that edge, that physicality, and then just being a long offensive tackle, I was able to stay up and pass pro with those guys, the taller, longer guys that you see in the SEC
Yeah.
playing edge rushers. So yeah, I think I had a really good game that game.
That's good, man. That's awesome. Now, have you played with anyone? Has anyone you've played with there for the last 3 years been drafted in the NFL?
Yeah, we had one guy drafted, 𝗦𝗘𝗖𝗜𝗔. He plays for the Tennessee Titans. He plays wide receiver. And then we have Rodney Williams plays tight end for the Steelers. He was an undrafted free agent to the Broncos, and now he's been on the Steelers for the past 2 years.
Who was the first guy you said?
𝗦𝗘𝗖𝗜𝗔𝗟.
How you spell that?
𝐶OLTONDOW. Yeah.
𝗦𝗘𝗖𝗜𝗔. I've heard that name.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, hey, you got to play against
you
my
go.
guys, the Bulldogs, right?
Yeah, I
Me
did.
being from Georgia.
He's a Georgia guy.
Yeah, and well, you can probably tell by my accent, right? You know what I mean? But the Georgia, I mean, you got a good test against those guys. I mean, they always bring a really strong defense. They're always very talented, and to do that kind of performance against Georgia should say a lot. You know what you're doing there, because they, I mean, normally they're having 5-6 people on their defense drafted in the NFL draft every year.
Right. Yeah, and it was I think we played. So when I first got here, the first test we had was West Kentucky, and they had a guy drafted to the Atlanta Falcons, and I played him really well too. And then my second year, we had Boise and Tennessee, and then this past year we played Georgia.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Georgia's been stacked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just thinking about just recently, you know, they brought in Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith just to jump out. So, well, like when you played offensive line, what is probably the guy that you remember the most playing that you just recognize that he was going to be a really good player, if maybe not in the NFL yet, but maybe that you think that he is a possibility of going, that you notice that your talent and his talent together, you guys were paired up very closely together.
Are you talking about the D lineman that I played against?
Yes.
Okay, so first I would have to say my teammate Dalen Dotson. That was probably one of the best I played against every day. But opposing teams, I played against Daniel Hardy at Montana State. I forgot where he got drafted to, and then I can't think of his name, but he was number 99 for Boise State. I think he plays for the Chargers now. Daniel Hardy was a really good test. He played edge, so I went against him a lot. He played the defensive end position, and then 99, I can't think of his name right now, but he played interior, but I did block him a few times. Strong, fast, tall, he had everything. But both of those guys are in the NFL. I think those were probably the best two I played against.
Was it Matlock?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I recognize that name, and I recognize Daniel Hardy as well.
Yeah, those
pretty notable names. It's awesome.
The best test I went to, and then of course, Michael from Georgia. He was good. He was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. What would you say that as you've been playing on the offensive line, how is talk to me about maybe a lot of teams are looking for pass protectors, the ultimate offensive lineman, and run protectors. But talk to me about when you're blocking on the run, what is maybe one of your favorite plays to block for?
I mean, inside zone for sure. Like when I first got here, I wasn't when I first started playing O-line, I wasn't as strong, so I didn't really like inside zone because I wasn't moving people the way I used to, but where I am now. So like once I got stronger and I'm able to move people against their will, I love blocking inside zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that inside zone, and it's a really big play right now in the NFL. It's ranked by San Francisco, Philadelphia, Miami. Yeah, a lot of them. Like Raheem Mostert running that inside zone, just broke Ricky Williams' touchdown record.
Yeah.
So
I learned to love inside zone this year for sure. This year and a little bit of the first year, just you get to it's you versus another man, and your job is to move him against his will. And if you get the job done, positive play. I like that feeling.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever gone to run the inside zone and then you think you're gonna move the guy and then you're like, oh, and then you don't?
Yeah, that happens. You meet your match in the trenches all the time, and sometimes it'd be like, okay, I know I'm finna meet my match, and sometimes it'd be a guy that you think, all right, I know I can get after him, and he come with a little bit more than you think he can.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, definitely normal. That's normal because when you look at it, but even some of the best we've seen, like we've seen like some of the best offensive linemen, Trent Williams, like for example in San Francisco, we've seen there've been plays where he's had to go hard not to give up that sack, right? I mean, he's had a good matchup. That happens to everybody, and I've seen some of the best pass rushers in the game, like Max Crosby, rushing, and he meets an offensive lineman one day and they shut him down.
Yep.
Right. And yeah, it's just going there, putting helmet on helmet, making those plays. But I mean, from what I've seen so far in the league, I mean, offensive line's definitely a weak spot, right? And in a lot of teams, you're looking like the Bears, the Jets that just jump out at me. They really need offensive line help. Right. I mean, Aaron Rodgers had torn Achilles on first play of the year, and I just see a lot of quarterbacks getting beat up, a lot of backup quarterbacks about to get paid in the NFL too, Tanner. Like this is going to be a huge payday for every backup quarterback likely in the NFL. They're going to get running back money, and I know running backs don't like to hear that, but they're going to get running back money, right? And they're going to need people like Lamar to make sure that they're protected.
Yeah, I know. Offensive line right now is like there's NFL teams in dire need, and that's been proven. I watched it for years with Seattle and Russell Wilson. He was constantly running for his life. I feel like those last few years in Seattle, and he was still playing. There was a couple years I was like, man, he could low key be like a dark horse MVP candidate. But obviously there was that news today with Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
And we can get into that, but like my point is like there is a real need at offensive line for almost any team. Like even if teams are set right now with their offensive line, they still need depth because injuries happen. You can't avoid it, and you would need a solid backup. You need solid guys to fill that place. Like you can never have too good of an offensive line. Same with defensive line, but I think like nowadays with these quarterbacks that it's just a different style, These quarterbacks can scramble now. Like they need that protection, and teams are really starting to realize that.
Yep.
So I think you're in a good position for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And some of when you're going up against some of these teams and playing, I mean, that's going to be key. I know you, Lamar, you already know that. Like playing in these bowls and getting those scouts to get a good look at you. And I mean, just getting a chance out there. There are a lot of teams that's going to be looking for linemen for depth, and then just going into camp and just beating them out. We see it all the time.
Yep, definitely. You gotta always put on the best show because you never know who's watching.
There you go. There you go. So Tanner, you want to get in some NFL? We'll do some NFL with Lamar.
Yeah, absolutely. If Lamar is, you said your favorite team's the Pittsburgh Steelers, huh?
Definitely.
All right, so you've been paying attention to the quarterback carousel there, and what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, so I talked to my boy Rodney. That's one of my good friends. I told y'all he played for the Steelers. He told me trust in Kenny, so I'm trying to do that. But Mason looked good this last game, so you got to give him a shot.
Yeah. I
agree.
I mean, I don't know what I think.
I like Mason Rudolph. I'll be honest. I think that he has handled everything perfect. He sat on the bench and not said a word. His teammates love him. He's just sitting there, just waiting for his chance. He came in and he gave George Pickens a career high. He put the ball up for him.
He did have. I mean, they had a great connection, that's for sure. But here's the thing: is Mason Rudolph passed for 290 yards, I think, which is the most any Steelers quarterback has passed for all season long.
Right.
They have not had a 300-yard passer. That's dating back to last season. So I don't know. Like, I think there's a lot of quarterback depth in the next few years. So I think they're going to be looking at that position in the draft, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they will be too. But I think we just need to get back to old Steelers football. Run the ball. I mean, I was at the beginning of this season, we was running the ball 10, 12 times. That's not Steelers football.
That brings me to this is like, what do you think of Najee Harris? He hasn't really lived up to what they were hoping he'd be in the NFL.
He hasn't this season at all, but it's at the same time, like if you look at his carries, the first probably 7 or 8 games, he was probably averaging 6 carries a game. It's not many running backs in the NFL that's going to get you that 100 yards a game at 6 carries.
Yeah, but he was getting the touches his last 2 years. I think this is his third year in the league, and his average, his career yards per carry is like, I think, below 4. I mean, let me look. I'll make sure. But like, I don't know. I honestly liked Najee Harris in college, and I thought he was going to be one of the best in the NFL, and it just hasn't looked like that. Yeah, his career average yards per rush is 3.9. So it's like, I don't know.
Najee Harris, though, I will say something about Najee. I really like Najee. I like what he brings in the locker room, and I really like Najee. The fact that if you watch his game of late, he's really he's really hurt. Really gashing teams right now because they're giving them opportunities. They were a great 1-2 punch in Pittsburgh, and that's what's setting up that play action, right? That they're playing in that 8-man box, and that's opening things up for George Pickens some. So Allen Robinson, um, that's tough. You know what I mean? Like Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson's a very talented player. Nobody's getting him the ball. But Mason Rudolph had the most receptions to Allen Robinson and the most receptions to the yards to George Pickens. So Mason's got a good thing going. You know what I mean? If he can lock it down.
Yeah, I mean, the weapons on the outside gonna get the ball, but I feel like in order to do that, we have to get back to that smash mouth Steelers football that we had.
I've always been a fan. You got to run the ball, and this like basics is like, if you run the ball, it opens up your passing game. It's just how it works. Like if you can run the ball effectively, you usually win. It's just the way football works. I know the system nowadays, and the ratings go up when they score more and play fast. It's what the NFL wants you to do, but I agree with
what the Eagles doing right now. Run the ball and then throw it up to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. That's what they're doing right now, and it's giving them some success.
Yeah,
and that brings me to
this. Was a great pickup. We mentioned it in one of our tweets the last probably couple of days. DeAndre Swift was a great pickup. He couldn't stay healthy in Detroit. He came to the Eagles. They ran that inside zone with them, outside zone both, and he's been very successful. And that the Eagles have really really done well. AJ Brown's going to be a guy that always wants the ball, right? He's just one of those elite receivers. I mean, the elite ones want the ball, right? You don't want somebody on your team. Honestly, I've always got this feeling. Everybody got on the Michael Irvin and said, "Throw me the ball." He'd get upset when he didn't get the ball, but I don't want a receiver who don't. Says, "Oh, it's okay. I got one reception. No big deal." I want somebody that says, "I want the ball every time." That's who I want at receiver.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think of Jalen Hurts?
I think he's a great quarterback. I think he found his fit in Philadelphia, and I think he'll get them a Super Bowl before it's all over with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like their window for a Super Bowl is past, because they lost 2 coordinators, their offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. And I don't know. I feel like now at this state in the game or in the season, that's really showing. Teams are adjusting every single week. You give them time to prep. At the beginning of the season, it was working really well, but you give them time to prep and adjust to that play style. I think those holes, the vulnerabilities are showing, and that defense has not performed like it did last season. They were number 1 in sacks last season. I think they're bottom of the league now. So their pass rush has really declined.
Well, one of the things I say about the Eagles, though, I think Jalen Hurts is a special player. He's got more rushing touchdowns, just the last couple of seasons. I think he just passed Cam Newton, who was one of the best at doing that. But even the players they got from Georgia's not even developed yet all the way. Like Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. You could just go on and on. Kobe Dean. They have a lot of young players that will develop, and they still got a lot of talent on that team. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. I mean, I think the window's still open.
I think the window's still open because they got two of the best offensive linemen in the game. I mean, it's hard, and I know they both getting up there in age, but when you got two of the best in the game and really good players even next to them, it's hard to lose when your offensive line that good.
Yeah, and I think what it is with the Eagles, and this is just what it is, it happens in the NFL. So what they've been doing very well, it's being looked at, and people's kind of figured it out a little bit, right? And that's what happens. Now they'll just go back to the drawing board and maybe use some of that stuff to show them something different so that they can open it up in a different way. I think the San Francisco, kind of what happened with the Ravens, right? They seen exactly what was happening, and the Ravens kind of called their bluff, right? Exactly. They knew what was going on. So the 49ers had to show people different things and then do something different, right? With Debo and Brandon Ayuk and some of those guys. I think that's what you're looking at, and that it's just where it's a copycat league, right? Everybody's going to go copy what everybody else does, and they're going to learn how to stop it. And then the good coaches will go and develop those plays and scheme people open.
Now, one of my complaints, but nitpicks is like these teams nowadays are seeing that these coordinators, defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator, are performing really well in like 1 or 2 seasons, and then they get all this hype. And they're like, oh man, we got to interview this guy for head coach. They hire him as a head coach, and it doesn't work out. I'm like, some coaches are just better as coordinators. I think that's like one of my biggest things with some of these, brand new head coaches in the NFL is like, I think Todd Bowles is an amazing defensive coordinator. One of the best ever. And his head coaching experience in the past, I don't know what his win-loss record is, but like, I don't know. He was amazing. Like when Tom Brady was there, obviously it was Tom Brady, but he still had one of the best defenses in the league. But like he's a better defensive coordinator than he is a head coach. Even though the Bucs are, I would say, outperforming themselves this year. Same with Dan Quinn. He used to be head coach of the Falcons. I think he's a better defensive coordinator than he is a head coach. And I feel like some coaches need to stay where they're at to succeed, and really they give their team the best shot at winning a Super Bowl. Like if you want to participate in winning a Super Bowl, sometimes I feel like, I mean, I get if you take a head coaching opportunity, why wouldn't you? But I think you're better off as defensive coordinators, in my opinion.
It's a lot of it be the difference in the pay. It's hard to turn down, even though you're gonna succeed at the coordinator job. It's hard to turn down the difference in the money for sure.
Yeah,
that's my thing. Is like, how do you say no when you're offered a head coaching job and better contract, better pay? Like, how do you do that? But I mean, you could also use your leverage as that amazing coordinator to your advantage of demanding, I don't know, like, well, my team's wanting to keep me around for X amount per year. What would you offer me as a head coach? And they can drive their own price up.
Well, I think it's what it comes down to, man. At the end of the day, you want to run your own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You want to do it your way, because as long as you got your boss over you, just like any other job, as long as you got your boss, you can do it. You do it their way, and you can share ideas of how you can make things better. But at the end of the day, that you still have to go by what your boss says of how he wants things done. When you're your own boss, per se, as a head coach, you can put in the offense you want. You can hire the person you want. You can get all that going, and you get a chance to run it your way.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I definitely understand that part of it too.
I want to see what like a guy like Todd Bowles, I want to see what his record is overall as a head coach. I can't find it. But yeah. Now, is there anything else going on in the NFL that has piqued your mind lately? I know there's a lot going on, especially as we approach the playoffs.
I think what I found his head coaching is 40-56.
You see, I mean, like if you haven't taken a team, and there's guys that are getting interviews, like people really want Dan Quinn as the next head coach. He's a hot candidate every single season or every off season, but it's like, what did he prove with the Falcons? Like it was a train wreck. He's his best. He's better as a defensive coordinator, and I think some guys just got to realize that and stay there. And I don't know why teams don't realize that. I guess that's my thing.
Yeah. I mean, there are going to be a lot of candidates out there. Your Dan Quinn will be another big candidate again this year.
He will be.
He'll be there'll be a lot of rumors around Mike Tomlin. He's not going nowhere. You know what I mean? He's not going anywhere. He's staying exactly.
Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere.
They're even talking about an extension for him. Like you're going to have to get multiple to 3 picks to get Mike Tomlin, even if they even thought about parting away with them. And they're not parting away with them. I mean, the Steelers love Mike Tomlin, and he knows what it takes to get there. I mean, as of right now, he just lost a pretty much a Hall of Fame quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger, right? He's trying to put him in place, and trying to find his next quarterback. Is that Kenny Pickett? Who knows, right? He don't know that yet. Is that Mason Rudolph? No, nobody knows. But people like Russell Wilson, people like you got some of those. That'll be a name that I'm sure the Steelers will float around.
I think they probably will look into Russ for sure.
Yep, because he is a winner. I mean, honestly, his stats are not bad this year. I just think him and Sean Payton could not get along, right? Of what they want to do. They don't have the same idea of what is wanted there. I think Russell Wilson will be a guy that will be loved in Pittsburgh. He will be beloved there. Honestly, listen, one thing that the Steelers need right now, and it's something that we reported on, they need a voice on the offensive side of the ball, right? To calm them down, a leader.
Yeah.
And somebody like Russell Wilson might be that answer.
Yeah. Because like all of the top guys right now are young for the Steelers offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And George Pickens, now don't get me wrong, I love Pickens. I love him as a player.
He's a great player. I just don't see him as that offensive leader.
No, he's a little bit immature at the moment. You know what I mean? At the wide receiver position. I mean, everybody knows. Even they got Allen Robinson to room with them, right? To try to get him going in the right direction. He is a very emotion on your sleeve kind of guy. He's not going to tell you any different. He called his passes last week, and he was like, "I told you, haters." At the press conference, he don't care, right? Like he's not going to be that person that's going to come console you in the locker room. That's our laws. Russell Wilson could be a guy. I even like the Steelers tight end maybe to be that guy next year in the locker room.
Pat Freiermuth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, there's a possibility there. Kenny Pickett. I know he's got a lot of talent. I know he's had some injuries. I just think we'll have to see how it plays out. But, right now, I just imagine the future might not be as secure for Kenny Pickett as it was the beginning of the year.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think it is.
I don't think his job is not locked right now. And, I just don't see it as a true lock. And speaking of lock, what do you think of Drew Lock? With that performance, who did they beat? Drew Lock with the Seahawks. It was last week.
I was just
the Eagles.
Eagles.
They beat the Eagles?
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah. I mean, what did you think of that performance?
They went back to Geno.
And then they went back to Geno this next week.
Yeah, and they won. Geno come back and won. Geno was banged up with the games he lost. I like Geno. He's done a lot of good stuff. And I tell you who's getting a lot of talk, guys, is the Tampa Bay Bucks OC right now. Not only for what he did for Geno Smith last year, but look what he did for Baker Mayfield this year.
Yeah.
Right. He's going to be interviewed for head coach.
Actually, I played with the biggest Baker Mayfield fan. Shout out Chris Hunter. He was a linebacker for UT Martin, man. He told me that at the beginning of the season, like the OC for the Bucks was gonna have Baker Mayfield playing outrageous. He definitely.
Yeah, he's really good. I'll tell you, like he done some great things with Geno. Pretty much, Geno was. Let's just be honest. I mean, he was a backup quarterback, right at
Right.
that point, and he got Geno going in a good direction. Geno's not been as good this year without Canales, and
Right.
now
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield is going to get paid because of Canales game with them, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that is a good thing. Baker is up for probably comeback player of the year with Joe Flacco.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think he's done some amazing things there, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And there are a lot of teams, guys, that's in the playoffs. They're fighting for the playoff life still. Even your Steelers are fighting still for the playoff lives. They went and signed. Me and Tanner was just talking about it actually before you come on. Jalen Smith last night we reported was signed, right? The former Cowboy. So he's
Yeah.
going to be the new middle linebacker there, or offside linebacker for the Steelers.
Yeah. Cause yeah. Cause who what's his name just got suspended, the safety.
Was it
Yeah,
Kazi?
Kazee
Kazi
was
or
a safety there,
Yeah.
and I think too they've had crucial injuries at middle linebacker
they
all year.
have? They're really thin there.
Yeah. What's
Yeah,
his name?
Quan Alexander was
Quan
injured.
Alexander.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he was. I think he was going to be a great linebacker for him. He's a Mike Tomlin kind of player.
Yeah, I think he was having a pretty good season. I know he sealed the game for us earlier in the season with a pick. I remember that one.
Yeah, and then they put people in, and they constantly have people hurt.
Yeah.
Holcomb more, and I mean
Holcomb was
Jalen
hurt.
Smith is a tackling machine. Hey, he might not be the best coverage linebacker. Let's be honest. He might, but you know you put him in a 2-down situation, and he's going to play for you,
Right.
right? You get that extra safety going on the 3rd down. You're fine there. But like the Steelers, T.J. Watt and Highsmith, they were some pressure. Joey Porter Jr. He's
Yeah.
having a great year. So you got a lot of things I think going on with the Steelers. A lot of good things right now.
Yeah.
They're always a good physical team, especially their defense.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be fine as long as Mason Rudolph can play the way he played. They're going to, I think, have a shot at the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch the games this week. I think the Browns will end up clinching Thursday night, tomorrow night against the Jets, for sure. Jets has got a real good defense, really solid defense. That's the strong point of their team. But I think the Browns' defense is elite as well.
I can't figure out if I should. I mean, I'm playing him because I had him on my bench. Amari Cooper. I had him on my bench in fantasy. He had me 62 points.
Right.
And now I'm like, well, do I play him against the Jets or not?
Yeah.
Because they're a solid defense.
Right.
I know they got Sauce, right? But Amari Cooper, the difference between Amari Cooper now and Amari Cooper 4 weeks ago, Joe Flacco does not care to drop it into a spot on him and give him a chance to catch the ball.
Yeah.
He will do
I
it
know.
still on Sauce Gardner. Sauce might come up with some plays. And, I really like Sauce Gardner as a corner. I really liked him when he played in Louisville. And but I'll tell you, or Cincinnati, I'm sorry. And but one of those things is like I think Joe Flacco will still give him opportunities. I think the Browns will end up beating the Jets.
I do too.
And I think the Browns will get them that wild card to get in there. That guys,
Yeah, I think so.
I want to ask you something. Who's the last quarterback? I'm gonna see if you guys know this trivia. Who is the last quarterback to beat Lamar Jackson?
Oh, it was you mean last NFC quarterback?
No, last quarterback.
The last quarter this season? It was to beat Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
It wasn't Zach Wilson, was it?
No.
And I think so. I don't even think they've played.
And I don't think Lamar was playing when the Steelers played him.
Who was it?
The answer is Deshaun Watson of the Browns.
Oh. Really?
That's the last player to beat Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, if I'm not mistaken, I think has lost maybe just a couple games in the NFC. So that bodes really good for the Ravens to get to the Super Bowl if they get to the AFC.
Yeah.
The last NFC quarterback, I think, to beat Lamar Jackson was Daniel Jones.
So I'm just saying, I mean, Baltimore, Lamar Jackson's balling. You know, Lamar Jackson's. I mean, you know, he
They've
lets his
won like
game
6
speak
straight
for
games,
himself.
so yeah.
Yeah, he lets his game speak for himself. Let me tell you the difference between Lamar Jackson this year, guys, and Lamar Jackson like in previous years. Lamar Jackson actually has people to throw the ball to right now. Right? He has OBJ. He has a bunch of young wide
Zay
receivers,
Flowers.
He's
Zay
got,
Flowers.
yeah, Isaiah Likely. You know what I mean? I mean, if Andrews can come back deep in the playoffs, you got a great double tight end set there with OBJ. I mean, the running game. I don't care who Baltimore puts back there, but Gus the Bus is killing it right now this year. But Baltimore can put. I'll be honest, Baltimore could take Tanner here and have a good running game. I mean, it's just the way it is. Baltimore,
Yeah.
they seem to grab these guys.
I'm
just
5'7",
playing. I'm just joking on
170.
that.
I
I'm
got
just
this.
joking on that, but I'm just saying that Baltimore could take. They seem to find these running backs out of nowhere. They really do.
To me, they're like the 49ers. 49ers always just plug and play a running back. Like before McCaffrey was there, it was like they would take these Elijah Mitchell, Mostert, who was before him. They had like 3 or 4 guys that they could just platoon back there, and they all just, it's like 5 yards per carry. That's nuts.
Just like he's blocking for, right? Just like Lamar was talking, just like he blocks for that zone, right?
Yep.
And that's what Kyle Shanahan runs, is that zone. One cut, and they're gone, right? Block one-on-one man, one cut, they're gone, right? So, guys, you guys better draft. Any of these scouts listen to us, anybody, you better get this guy that can block up this zone in Lamar Morgan.
That's right, especially that inside. That inside you said you like to run?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now tell us, before we end this podcast, go ahead and tell us what you can provide to any NFL team out there. We do have some eyes that watch this every once in a while or listen to it on podcast platforms. What do you think you could provide to any NFL team?
I think I'm just a hard worker. I mean, hard worker, gonna come to work, do what I got to do to be the best version of myself each day. A good locker room guy, keep high energy at all times, man. Never let situations get me down. So no matter what, I'm always keep my energy high so everybody around me can feed off of it, and just that Christian hardworking guy in the locker room that can push everybody to be better no matter what's going on.
That's great, man. And I really do appreciate you coming on the podcast today. We'll try to maybe get you back on before draft time and see where you are at that point and see how that Gridiron Showcase goes for you as well. I'd love to hear about that.
Yes.
Definitely. I've got some good friends, some Bengal scouts as well. We'll definitely throw your name out there to them, Lamar, about that. And, you know, we'll definitely just, you know, let this video speak for itself, what we talked about today. And we'll definitely let people know all about you and make sure that we'll hit up though Daniel Jeremiah, Tanner, to see if he's checked out Lamar Morgan on tape.
I got his number, so that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all having me, man.
Hey,
yeah, absolutely.
I enjoyed the conversation, Lamar. You seemed like a good dude. I really liked everything. Anything we can do for you, just let us know, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to the NFL Rumors podcast. That was episode 6, and we'll catch you guys soon with episode 7.
Okay, thanks, guys. Appreciate you.